Today in our 2017 GMC Acadia, we're going to be installing Roadmaster's diode wiring kit. If the tow bar you have came with a coiled cable, or you already have one, you can get Roadmaster's Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit, which comes with the diodes and the wiring, but does not come with the 6-pole connector or the coiled cable.
As part of your complete flat tow setup, you're going to need your base plate, your wiring kit, your braking system, and your tow bars. And in the event your tow bar doesn't come with safety cables, you'll need to get some of those as well.
This diode wiring kit is going to allow our motorhome's turn, stop, and tail lamp signals to be transferred from the motorhome to our vehicle, and our lights illuminate appropriately to display those signals behind us. What's great about the diodes is that it isolates the circuits that's on your vehicle from the ones coming from your motorhome, so you don't have to worry about any backfeeding causing damage to your vehicle.
To install your diodes and your wiring, you are going to need to remove your tail lights on both the driver and passenger side. They come out fairly easily. You'll need to open your lift gate. There'll be 2 little plastic covers. You'll just pop those out of your taillight assembly with a flat-bladed screwdriver. Then you can remove both the bolts that are located there with a 7mm socket. After that, your assembly will just pull rearward to remove it. There's a small pin that still holds it in this little grommet. The diodes themselves will then hook in line with your taillight wiring. We'll need to hook up the turn signal and taillight wiring on both the driver and passenger side. Our purple circuit here is for our taillights, and our yellow circuit here is for our turn signals. So we're going to cut that wire. We'll then attach the included blue spade terminals onto each of those wires that we cut, and we'll need to feed our wiring up through the slot here in the bumper. The best way to do this is to use a fish wire. You can use a coat hanger. We're using a piece of airline tube. We slide it down from the top until we can grab it below, and we'll use some electrical tape to tape our wire to that and then just pull it right back up. That's the easiest way to get your wiring up here. On our driver's side, you'll want to connect the yellow wire, which is your left turn signal. That's going to connect to the other yellow circuit here. So we have both of these on one side, and the outside is always going to be on the connector side, so the single side connector side. The other one is for our taillights. We're using the white wire here. It is typically the brown wire, but we use the brown wire on our passenger side. It really doesn't matter which one, but both have to be connected together. We went ahead and pushed all those back on. Here on our passenger side, it's the same thing. We have the brown and white wires, our tail light, and the green wire is our turn signal. So we cut those, put our diodes in between, and crimped on the included spade terminals onto each of those wires that we cut. We fed our wiring up the same way. The green wire from our wiring is going to connect with our turn signal, so that's the green wire here. The white wire from the other side was run across to this side and connected to the brown wire, and they were both crimped together onto the taillight circuit on this side. From this point, we can now run the rest of our wiring up to the front to be connected to our 6-pole connector. The rest of our wiring here, we routed past the spare tire, connected it to the factory wiring, and just used that factory wiring to follow it up to the front. We want to avoid any moving objects, such as our suspension and steering components, and any excessively hot objects, such as our exhaust. If you follow factory wiring, you will typically avoid any of those things. We then went down past our gas tank, along the side of it, and we followed that all the way up to our plastic panel here, where we routed it up to our engine compartment. We used our fish wire pull trick again to help pull it up into the compartment. From there, we routed our wiring over to our driver's side here. The white wire we cut and separated from the rest of them. We crimped on a ring terminal and connected to the ground here. The rest of this white wire runs up to the front from this ground point to our 6-pole connector. And the rest of our wiring also runs up to the front to our 6-pole connector. So it goes down here past the headlight, down along the side, across our bumper beam, over to where we've mounted our 6-pole connector. Our wiring will then connect to our 6-pole connector. The white wire is ground, which is typically labeled GD on our connector. The brown wire is our tail lights, which is typically labeled TM. The yellow wire is our left turn signal, which is typically labeled LT. And the green wire is our right turn, which is typically labeled RT. On the back side of our connector here, all of those will connect and you just use a small Phillips or flat-bladed screwdriver to unscrew those, poke the wires in, and then screw them back down in the appropriate spot. Depending on your base plate, there may or may not be a location to mount your 6-pole connector. This particular base plate did not include a place to mount your 6-pole connector, so we had to use a long bracket as well as a 6-pole bracket. Both of these brackets are available here at eTrailer.com. In order to get our electrical connection through our fascia when we reinstalled it, we did have to trim some out here next to our license plate. Our brackets are installed on the bottom of the bumper beam. We've got our test box here hooked up, and that just goes from a 7-way to 6-pole connector. This would be just as if you were hooking it up to your motorhome. This is just going to simulate those signals. So we're going to turn it on and we're going to verify that all of our lights are working. Now we're going to see it at the back of our vehicle. Here you can see we've got our left turn signal, right turn signal, tail lamps, and brake lamps. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's diode wiring kit on our 2017 GMC Acadia.